Hi, my name is Shauna Spickard, and I just successfully defended my dissertation on understanding quality professional development and its effect on teacher practice. While I do not have time to share with you the whole entire study, my plan is to let you know about the main conclusion, the biggest idea that came from the study. Again, my dissertation was done for Eastern Michigan University, and I will begin with just trying to explain a little bit about the methodology that took place during the study. The study was a quantitative study that was done on teachers who were trained in reading apprenticeship from Washtenaw and Livingston County. 309 teachers completed the survey, and there were 3 different types of analysis done on the data: descriptive, factor, and path analysis. 4 research questions were asked to try to determine the influence of quality PD on teacher practice, which interactions had the most effect. While trying to answer these questions, the main conclusion or biggest idea from the study came about, and that is that quality professional development is a very complex system. 3 systems that are highlighted in blue, green, and red were the 3 systems in literature as describing quality professional development: professional community, support system, and delivery system. However, when a factor analysis was performed, these specific items and components to describe these systems were factored differently, and these 8 factors are included in this diagram to show you the both independent and dependent variables. The independent variables included core PD practices, accountability, support, teacher empowerment, trust and respect, delivery, and duration. The independent variable was student-centered instructional practice. As you can see from these diagrams that demonstrate the results from the path analysis, this is the main data to support that professional development is an extremely complex system. Here in the first path analysis, with the blue interaction lines going to student-centered instructional practice, we only see 2 factors that came out as being statistically significant on student-centered instructional practice. This was disheartening at first. Although we believe trust and respect and this internal accountability are important to teacher practice, we feel that these other variables, especially based on what research say, is important to teacher practice as well. However, when we take a look at the diagram to the right-hand side with all of the arrows that are in red, we see that when the factors are combined with all potential interactions, we have several more statistically significant effects on student-centered instructional practice. As you can see from this particular chart, that core practices has a huge, powerful influence on student-centered instructional practice. Delivery is statistically significant, but then we have several interaction effects of these factors that are also significant on student-centered instructional practice. The last diagram shows teacher characteristics that were measured in the study and their influence on these factors, as well as the factor of student-centered instructional practice. With this being said, there is a ton of interactions that are happening here, and they are significant when they are combined. This proves that professional development is a very complex system, and how one unit of one variable can affect a unit of another, and when the 2 are combined, they can even have an additional effect on student-centered instructional practice. This particular diagram is the framework that came from the study. As you can see, we have gears here to represent the 3 systems, the most powerful being core practices, but not to forget the interactions with core practices such as support, teacher empowerment, and duration. This gear, however, does not work without the gears of shared accountability and delivery and all the interactions that take place within it. The gears work together to be able to create an interaction effect and a relationship with these components to have an impact or influence on student-centered instructional practice. In addition, teacher characteristics will influence the system and then in turn have an influence on student-centered instructional practice and hopefully student achievement. So what we learned from this study is that quality professional development is an extremely complex system. We know that in the past, professional development has been given to us certain components that need to be involved, like a list that we have to check off, and that there are several things through research that have come up as being important or relevant to teacher practice. However, this is not just a complicated list of certain variables that need to be done. This is a very complex list and interactions that take place, because it's just not a list of things, but it's also how they work together. So analyzing professional development factors in isolation really needs to evolve to looking at these interactions. A great deal of thought needs to be put into professional development design, especially in areas of core practices, support, and delivery. And more studies need to be done in other contexts beyond reading apprenticeship and a secondary approach. In this, we need to make sure that there's consistent formative evaluation of these interactions, because as noted with some of the negative interactions, one unit of support can affect a unit of core practice. So again, just to reiterate, it's an extremely complex system. There are a lot of variables involved, that there needs to be a lot of input put into the design. So I leave you with some certain characteristics or possible recommendations for professional development. The first is that it really needs to be a community or network that fosters the core practices that were highlighted under this variable. Conditions and protocols that cultivate collaboration and reflective dialogue are extremely important. Teachers need to open up their classrooms and deprivatize their practice. They need to develop a shared and common purpose. It's also important that participants have a certain level of cognitive skill base, and that they have supportive communication structures such as time and proximity. It needs to be sustained. There needs to be admin support. There needs to be this shared accountability to oneself and to each other. And there needs to be a focus on student learning where they can cultivate trust, respect, and value. And it's really important that there are several different types of delivery involved in the professional development, from presentation to demonstration and modeling to actual application. However, again, it's not just a list. There are certain interactions, so that constant formative evaluation needs to be done, because you need to make sure that the professional development is truly working. If you'd like to know more information about the factors and descriptions of them, and or information about defining student-centered instructional practice, please don't hesitate to ask any questions. Thank you for tuning in today and listening about my study. And again, please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you.